Hey everyone, I'm back again with another record pickup video. Ever since the last video, I have gone on a short week-long vacation, and I have of course picked up many records across that trip. I know that these videos aren't monthly, but that is only because I'm not actively picking up as many records that would warrant a monthly update. Luckily this time around, I have plenty of new albums I've added to my collection that I can't wait to tell you guys about. The first record I picked up after the last video was this 10-inch of David Bowie and Bertolt Brecht's Ball. I'm going to be completely honest and say that I knew absolutely nothing about this before going in. It was cheap and had David Bowie on the front and figured it was a no-brainer purchase. Turns out that it's excerpts from a televised version of Ball that aired in 1982. Bowie plays the main character Ball and is an interesting part of Bowie's career that I had no idea existed until I came across this record. I have yet to give this a spin and fully listen to it, but I am excited to do so. I cannot express how long I have been looking for anything Bonnie Tyler related. More so the two albums that Jim Steinman is accredited towards. This is Tyler's 1983 album Faster Than the Speed of Night and features songs like Total Eclipse on a Heart on it, you know, nothing major. The whole album is filled with 80s bangers like the album's title track, It's a Jungle Out There, and the really impressive cover of Have You Ever Seen the Rain. If you can't tell, I'm really excited to have this in my collection and will definitely be spinning this often. A must listen for anyone that is a fan of 80s pop music. Next up, I picked up the only Kids See Ghost album. I highly doubt that Kanye and Cudi will collaborate on another Kids See Ghost album, but I'm pretty sure I, like many others, will welcome it. I love this album and its overall sound and aesthetic. It's essentially a 24-minute therapy session, and I'm really glad I'm able to experience it on my record setup now. The next group of records are all ones that I acquired while on my short vacation. First up, I got Evangelion finally. For as loved and internationally praised the Neon Genesis Evangelion franchise is, it is incredibly difficult to get any physical media of the franchise. As far as I know, the soundtrack for the series was released in the late 90s when the series first came out and hasn't seen many re-releases, if at all outside of Japan, so I was incredibly excited to finally get this in my hands. I know pre-orders for this album were sold out, so I was pleasantly surprised to see it at a record store that didn't specialize in anime vinyl. This isn't the entire soundtrack of the series, you won't find Decisive Battle on here. Instead, this release focuses on the tracks in the show with vocal performances. The original OP and songs from the movies are featured here, as well as many remixes. The vinyl on this is a gorgeous pink and green splatter. The overall packaging and presentation is amazing. There are interviews, and I could go on forever about this release and the show in general, but let's move on to my next pickup. Next up, I got my first flexi disc. The overall idea of flexi discs is amusing to me, and this was the first time I ever came across one in the wild and had to pick it up. This one features 3 singles from Grand Bonnet, The Polecats, and one of my personal favorite bands of all time, Thin Lizzy. A very weird and interesting release, and I'm very glad to have it in my collection. The next single I picked up was this promotional single with Ronald McDonald and Friends. There's nothing too special about this one, I just thought it was cute and decided to pick it up. Moving on now. We have finally reached the point in the video where we have our obligatory Jethro Tull showcase. This is a really interesting release from the decline of Tull's popularity in the 80s. The album features instrumental orchestrations of Jethro Tull songs with frontman Ian Anderson and guitarist Martin Barre, providing instrumentation on many tracks. I'm really excited to have added this odd part of Tull's history to my collection since it's missing from streaming services. Moving on, I picked up Barbra Streisand's album Emotion. This one was like $1. I know close to nothing about Barbra Streisand as an artist, but I have kept this album on my radar because of the song Left in the Dark. It was written by Jim Steinman. While I won't be playing this one too much, I am glad to add this to my continuing quest to get all of the albums in Jim Steinman's discography. I was really surprised to come across this one. It's not every day that you see anything from the Front Bottoms in the wild. This is their EP Rose. I'm not super familiar with the Front Bottoms and pretty much only know them for this EP and their first album, but I am making a conscious effort to listen to them more since I love this EP so much. The back of the record has this really beautiful laser etching of a rose and is just a cherry on top of an already amazing release. I recommend this one to anyone if you're a fan of sad boy DIY music. Witchfinder General kicks so much ass. I find it really difficult to listen to metal like I used to due to personal taste changing, but albums like this hit a sweet spot that always gets me pumped. This is their first album, Death Penalty, and represents the type of new wave of British heavy metal I can't get enough of. This is a reissue, of course, on 180-gram wax, and thankfully wasn't too expensive. I have been making a conscious effort to buy more metal on vinyl, but it is really expensive. I commonly see used pressings go for just as much, if not more, than reissues. Never thought I would come across this one, and am really glad to have it in my collection. Next up, I have a couple of Rush CDs. Rush used to be my all-time favorite band before the works of Jethro Tull won my heart over. I was feeling kinda nostalgic for when I was younger and remembered a conscious promise I made to myself to get every Rush album on CD, and this is me contributing to complete that promise. I bought All the World's a Stage, Hold Your Fire, and Test for Echo. All the World's a Stage is one of my favorite live albums. It's Rush during their prog rock conceptual era in their prime. Geddy Lee's vocals are as ecstatic as can be, and everyone's musicianship is full of energy. It's been a really long time since I listened to both Hold Your Fire and Test for Echo. I remember renting them from the library when I was younger and ripping these two to various iPods and MP3 players, so I'm excited to give these a re-listen and a trip down memory lane. And those are all the records I picked up over the last couple of months. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna try to keep this series going, but I'm only gonna make one if I have enough records to show. Things are always hectic financially being in college and all, but I try to pick up new records whenever I can. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have an amazing day.